It's Thursday night and we continue to talk or kamustahan sa ating mga season athletes. And this time, wala naman sa sport na floorball. Actually, matagal na nating inantay itong interview natin kasi umala pa siya doon sa isang pang meeting. And naghahanda po ang ating Philippine Women's Floorball team. Alam niyo naman, galing lang sa silver medal finish dyan sa Singapore last May. And they're looking to qualify sa darating na World Floorball Championships, just like the men's team did last year. And we are privileged to have the team captain, the forward of the national team itself. Let me welcome Ms. Jade Rivera. Good evening and Happy New Year, Jade.
Good evening and thank you for having me here.
Salamat po sa inyong pagdalo sa ating programa. By the way, I'm Gab Perez from Sports Corner PH. It's nice to meet you personally kahit sa virtual lang muna tayo. And we're looking forward for an engaging conversation with only less than 3 weeks left before yung ating World Floorball Championships qualifiers, which we're gonna held in Chonburi, Thailand this coming January 31 up until February na, the start of February. So, but first of all, kumusta na po kayo? Are you now in Singapore or dito pa kayo sa Pilipinas muna? If it is here, are you planning to go back to Singapore for training?
I'm in Singapore at the moment. Galing po ako sa Sweden for a training camp nung December pa. So I've been in Singapore for the past 2 weeks. So dito po ako based sa Singapore.
Okay, so you spent holiday season dyan naman sa Sweden. Doon kayo training?
Yes. Okay. So nandun po kami for like 3 weeks. We're training with some of the Swedish team over there. So it's a good experience din po.
Okay, we get to talk about more about yung training camp mamaya. But first of all, we get to know more about Jade. You've been with the team for quite some time now, for more than 2 years or so. Naglaro ka rin noong 2019 SEA Games dito sa Manila. How do you start introduce floorball? And throughout the years, are you thankful and grateful to have you on the sport?
Sorry, one more time. Nakat po yung audio.
How do you start introduce floorball? And over the years na nandun ka, are you thankful to have a great connections and some improvements on your style of play?
Yeah. So, yung question niyo po yung how did I start floorball?
Yes po.
Yes. Okay. So, I started floorball po na nung 16 years old po ako from my school because floorball was a popular sport back then in my pre-university school. I'm thankful din po to my first coach in floorball. His name is Coach Ngasti, who introduced me to the women's team noong 2014 CFC Cup. So that was my first time meeting the team. Sorry, 2018 CFC Cup po. Meeting the team from the Philippines, and from then on, they've included me inside their national roster.
And despite some limited resources, by the way, paano ka nakapasok sa national team?
Oh yeah, so for me, my first coach po dito sa Singapore, there was a tournament here. I can't remember the year. I think it's 2014, right? And he knew that I was Filipino, so he knew that there was a Philippines team coming in. So sabi niya, like, hey, do you want to meet like the Philippines team? So I was like, yeah, definitely. I really want to see how the sport is like over there. And then the Philippines team invited me to their first game. And from then on, I've made friends over there. I've met the coaches there. And I guess that's the start of how I was introduced in the Philippine national floorball team. Kasi yun po yung first na international tournament ng women's team during the CFC Cup. And the next tournament that I've ever been with them was in 2018. And from then on, there were more international tournaments following through. And I've been inside the roster from then on po.
Okay, despite some limited resources, and of course, the key players of the team are either based overseas, most especially dyan sa Sweden, at yung ilan ay nanggaling pa dito sa bansa natin. How was your leadership skills, yung camaraderie with your teammates, the fundamentals you have set and abide in terms of skills, abilities, and the teamwork you have gained with your teammates, and the strategies you have planned and developed alongside your coaches?
Yeah. I think, yeah, so that is one of the limitations of our team because we're based in different countries, right? And as captain, it was, like my duty to really try to get at least yung mga taga Singapore, like Singapore base, to be, to be strong in all their tactics, to follow all the tactical plans that our head coaches have set in for us, so that when the tournament does come in, we're playing with the same tactics. It's all about gelling the team, right? And all our girls know, like we're thankful for all the support, and they know that it's tougher for us here compared to the other Asian countries because they get to play together. But for us, we don't, So how we're doing it is we're grouping ourselves together in the different countries, making sure that we are technically and tactically sound, so that when we are back, like a week or 2 weeks before the tournament, we usually have a pre-camp, and it's all that we have to do over there is to execute the plan and to form the chemistry with our different teammates based in the different countries.
Pagmula nung nag-umpisa ka sa national team, have you seen some improvements in your style of play and keeping up with other international counterparts, and the importance of having been experienced to have been played at the international level and of course representing the country?
Yep, I think from the first time that I started in the national team, there has been very, very big improvements in everybody, like even based in the Philippines, because I still do see them. The last I saw them was in 2019, but big difference from 2014 to 2019, from the Philippines base, Singapore base, and the Swedish base. And I think being exposed to international tournaments, like allowing us to play with the different countries, we are able to see, yung gap po namin, what we have to improve on. And like for example, we might think that we are the fastest here in Singapore, but if you compare us to the other countries, we're probably slower. So that really gave us, like an insight to what we really need to improve on in terms of, our physical capability and our technical ability as a floorballer.
And nakikita natin na ilang mga players ay nagse-step up na rin sa kanilang mga responsibilities rin. Lalo na every time na magko-conduct ng training sa labas ng bansa and even in the country.
Yes po. Like in terms of what yung responsibilities po, could you clarify on that, please?
Responsibilities of every player na of course nagte-training na.
Yep. I think that is very true. Like all of us are stepping up in terms of responsibility, not just being a national player, but also to spread the word out in especially in Philippines, because the whole goal is to develop the sport there and also to develop the passion and love. So it's very nice to see, yung mga national players po namin, whenever they go back to Philippines, they are visiting the players, they're helping with floorball donation drives, they're bringing in equipment gathered by their local players, so that all the clubs here sa Philippines, dyan sa Philippines, they have the equipment, the resources to play and have a better experience in floorball. So that responsibility not just extends to within the national team, but like it extends outward into like what we are supposed to do for the sport in Philippines, which is to develop it.
Okay, let's review and examine what happened dito sa inyong 2022 campaign. The main highlight was yung nag-silver medal kayo sa AOFC Cup. Nabigo kayo Singapore to dun sa finals to clinch the silver. In team captain's perspective, can you tell us your assessment in the campaign and of course the players who have been see action to further boost their performance there?
I think everyone was really, shocked with how Philippines played noong 2022 AOFC. There were great additions to the team. Shout out to the Filipinos that were based in Sweden and Finland, and not forgetting Singapore as well. You know, I think one thing that we really had was the eagerness to win. Tsaka yung speed po namin. I must say that our fitness really has improved over the past, how many years was that? 3 years since 2019. And it was good to really see an increased level of physical fitness of our team. And when we played against Singapore, like Singapore is #1 in Asia, I think they were also shocked with our pace, our tactics, right? And winning our first ever medal in an international tournament as a captain, it was really good. Despite the circumstances that we had in the tournament itself, because most of our players were down with COVID. So I'm not sure if you know, but during the finals, hindi pa ako naglaro because I was down with COVID, and a few of my teammates were also down with COVID. So there were major changes from the game that we won the day before. So on a Friday, we were against Singapore in the group matches, diba? Just Saturday was finals again against Singapore. In the group matches, we beat Singapore 3-2. And in the finals, we just lost to them. Mainly one, probably, I think Singapore also tried to understand our tactics. That could be one. But I honestly feel as well that our players were so exhausted because, a lot of our teammates were really down. And I really appreciated them fighting towards the end, despite being down in numbers, despite their fatigue levels and their morale, because definitely the morales might have been low during the finals game against Singapore because of, just members not being present due to, being sick with COVID. So despite all that, I'm still really proud of them with gaining the silver medal, because that's the first ever medal that the women's team has won internationally and like regionally recognized tournament. So yeah.
So it is a significant improvement, just like in the past campaigns nung naging medalist ng campaign. And of course, kahit nga may ilang players na nagkatamaan ng COVID, I'm sure na nag-contribute sila sa silver medal win na nakuha natin. By the way, during the before the AOFC Cup, nagkaroon ba kayo ng training camp in Sweden?
Yes, po, but there was only a few of us who were able to fly to Sweden. Right now, back then there were 2 of us who only managed to fly into Sweden. The rest of them were based na po sa Sweden and Finland. Pero may training camp po. It was 1 week long. It was around April for the training camp to prepare for the May 2022 AOFC Games.
And of course, it's a significant na improvement as I said earlier. And with that silver medal na nakuha natin, the very first international medal, parang it's a great boost na rin for you and the rest of the teammates to further strive for the best and have a great confidence to get ready for a BC 2023 season, which includes the qualifiers for the World Floorball Championship, SEA Games, and the rest of the scheduled tournaments this year.
Yep. Yung medal po, yung silver medal po, it's really a motivational boost for us to know that we are capable of placing within the Asia region, right? From a team that has been losing before to a team that has been winning games. That's really a significant jump or a significant difference, significant improvement in the level of play. And I hope that really, inspires the rest of the other players who haven't been inside the national team to strive harder. And of course, now we are going to aim for the gold, in 2023, especially in SEA Games. Yeah.
Okay, and not to mention, parang sinama na rin kayo sa mga top female sporting achievers this year. Although hindi kayo kasama sa aking year-end, nakalimutan ko ilagay yun. Just like Idolin, the Alex, Filipinas, Chuna Chunki, and the rest of the female athletes that were victorious the past year. Parang it's great to know na napapansin ng mga tao and even social media yung silver medal finish ng ating global team and even the crowd, the support, and the cheer of the Pinoys there in Singapore.
Yep. It's really nice because the yung last tournament po namin, which was in 2019, we were playing for the home crowd. That's we didn't manage to place. We lost by 1 goal, the golden goal against Malaysia, and that cost us the bronze. So yeah, I think the hype of us really getting the silver really showed everybody that Filipinos can place and like we can excel in different areas of sport, not just in like volleyball, but definitely in floorball. And it was really nice to have our fellow Filipinos based in Singapore, like all our supporters, our friends were down to cheer for the Philippines team, during the final instead of the Singapore. It's really nice to hear their cheer.
And after nitong AFC Cup, are there any continuous training programs as we await the January start of the qualifiers and even during the holiday season with the help of Coach Noel and the other coaches around?
Yep, there was a continuation in training plans, pero it was based in the separate countries, which is like Sweden, Finland, Philippines, and Singapore. So dito po sa Singapore, we do have a local Filipino coach that is helping us. And he is also part of the coaching team with Coach Noel and Coach Frederick. So we do follow a training program by them. And yeah, like what I mentioned earlier in this interview, recently we just had another training camp in December. Yeah, whereby we played in a local tournament there as well. Just to really help us see one more time the difference between their level of play versus our level of play. And it was a really good experience because it really bridged the gap and made us want to reduce that gap between the European style play versus the Asian play. So yes, but moving forward with your question, we did have continuous training routines and programs in place from the AOFC games. Pero of course, immediately after none was a rest period for us for about a month, just to get our body to relax before we pick up our sticks and stress our body again with physical conditioning.
Okay, so right now, ito yung main topic natin. The team will be preparing for the qualifiers for WFC January 31 to February 5 in Chonburi, Thailand. How's the condition of the athletes so far as you're concerned, physically and mentally? Kailan ba magsa-start yung full training ninyo and yung mindset ninyo ay nakakoncentrate for the qualifiers itself?
Okay, yeah. So for the next tournament, which is this coming February, right? That's the 2023 qualifiers. We're gonna start our training camp from the 27th of January. So yeah, that means all the players, regardless of where they are based, they're gonna come into Thailand, and we're gonna start training every day just to build on chemistry. Because like what I mentioned before, yung tactics po, it was already in place. It was already taught to us. It's all about executing it efficiently, effectively, and gelling the team together, regardless of how the lines are being played. Because probably, example, a Singapore-based player can be placed in the same line as a Swedish or a Finnish-based player, right? So that is the start of our training camp, and I think it's 5 days of training camp from the 3 days spot, 27 to the 30th of January. So we have continuous training within the day. Sometimes there's one training, sometimes there's two. But the goal for that is really just to gel the team, to find the chemistry within the lines. Sorry, what's the next question, Pa? I think there were parts to your question.
As far as you're concerned, how's the condition of the athletes just before the actual training camp, 5 days before the start of the competition, and of course yung mindset ay nakakoncentrate with the qualifiers?
I think yung physical tsaka mental fitness po ng players namin, I think they are at a all-time high, right? We are all really ready to fight for our place for the championships in Singapore in December, right? Sorry, November or December. They do know, all our players know that for the qualifiers, only 2 teams will qualify. We know some of the teams there are really strong competitors, right? Countries including Australia, Japan, Thailand. They're one of those countries who have always been qualified to play for the championships. So the Philippines team do know that it's going to be a tough battle. But anytime you ask them like how you're feeling, yes, they're going to say nervous, right? But they are all they're mentally ready, I would say. Being nervous is a feeling, but in terms of their ability to think through the game and their ability to think na it's possible to win, it's at an all-time high. In terms of our physical fitness, I would say it's also good. The coaches have really trained us or helped us really to pick at the right time instead of instead of having our performance at a low, because I think that is the number one problem for many team sports or many individual sports, is to be able to pick your athletes at the right time just before the game instead of having their body burn out. So yeah, we just need to follow the plans of our coaches, and yeah, we'll be there physically ready for the games.
Okay, is there gonna be a drawing of lots to determine which group that the Philippines will be part of it and the opponents will be facing before the games, or may result na?
Yeah, round robin po siya. It's we're gonna challenge all the countries for the placing. So only the top 2 teams will go through the final. If you were to look at the schedule or the match schedule, Singapore is not inside the qualifiers because they're the host. They're the host for the 2023 championships. So automatic na qualify na po sila. Yeah, so they're not playing for the qualifiers. They're automatically in for the championship. So the final 2 spots is for the rest of the AOFC region.
And as team captain, any expectations from the team, especially the step competition against those who will buy for the other countries buy for the qualifying spot to the World Championships?
In terms of expectations, okay, I'll just separate the questions a bit more. My expectations or the goal for the tournament is definitely to be in the top 2, right? I do know our girls. One of the things is always to ready them mentally just before the match, because generally you can be ready mentally, right? But it's always just before the match which can make or break the game. Because if you're too nervous just before the games, it can negatively impact your performance. So it's always for me, it's always saying the right things at the right time to the team, giving them the proper pep talk. My expectations of the team is to, I always tell them this, is to leave the court without regrets. That means they have to do whatever they can at 100%, even if it's a mistake, it has to be at 100%, that such that when the game is over, they know, they can feel it in their hearts and their minds that they have already given 100% of what they got, and they cannot change anything, no matter what they do, So yeah, for me, it's always just preparing the team. My expectations of them has been the same, even in AOFC, which is to, like what I said, giving their 100%, leaving the court with no regrets, and yes, hopefully we get the top 2 placings for the qualifiers.
Apart from the national team program, looking at 2022 Philippine Floorball, we have satisfied on how the floorball scene going. Kahit may pandemic, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung grassroots development program nila, lalo na sa PFA, sa clinics,
Yep.
tournaments. Were you surprised to see some of the potential or future stars of floorball through the grassroots initiatives of the PFA, especially yung mga naka-base overseas?
Yep. I think it's really nice, especially towards the end of last year. I've been seeing a lot of initiatives by PFA and also their own local clubs. Like I've seen so many 3v3 tournaments happening, youth leagues. Kahit na maliit lang po, like it's not like the full game, like for 5v5. They can start with 3v3. We also need to consider the fact that they have stopped playing floorball in a structured manner since the start of COVID, and it was really nice to see everybody come back together to bring back the passion, right? Especially for the youth. Definitely, there can still be more things, to help develop the sport in the Philippines. I would say one is to encourage more girls to play the sport. I've been seeing more. I've been seeing in the photos. I'm not sure whether it's just me, but more of the photos featured boys. But it will be nice to reach out to more girls as well, so that there is always continuity to get up into the women's national team as well, not just for the men's team. And looking forward to 2023, right? There have been talks of having development camps whereby national team players and the head coach will go down to Philippines to help bridge the gap in terms of their technical abilities, and also to meet the players and to understand their frustrations, their needs, their weaknesses, and to help them improve in whatever those areas are. Because I really believe that it's imperative and it's important for national players to really see how the local scenes are like, and to help the clubs in whatever way that they can. Because I really want to see it back to pre-COVID, whereby there's so many leagues going on, right? Back then, I've seen so many social media posts in the Philippines local league. So that is what I envision for this year, to bring all that back, and also to of course do my part as the captain and as a national player to be back in the Philippines to help develop the players, not just the young, but adolescents and adults as well.
Last question before we wrap up. What is your memorable moment of that 2022 you have passed, and what do you look up to, your goals, your ambitions and dreams for 2023 to improve on your floorball career?
Yeah, I think for me, like the most memorable event was like what we said earlier was, the AOFC, our first ever silver medal, right? Moving forward, I do hope that Philippines can be the powerhouse in Asia, right? Back then it's always Singapore, Thailand, Japan, Australia, right? If we include the AOFC region, right? I want us to set a mark or make our mark in the floorball map, right? And not just see us as a team that can be trampled on, but to see us as a team to be afraid of. And that is really fun because it's competition, like playing with the heads of the competitors. I think that's really nice to have the other countries, respect us and be afraid of what we are going to bring to the table. So that is my goal nationally as a national athlete. But like what I've mentioned before as well, I really do hope that this sport continues to grow in the Philippines. I do have local players, right, reaching out to me. They're sending me text messages, social media messages on helping them or going over to the Philippines to help out with their clubs, to help out with their youth teams, to bring back the passion and, of course, to inspire them to continue on and not just stop at a certain level, because anything is possible. It's all about, the right environment and the right training and competing mentality. Because, I am full Filipino regardless of where I'm based. Even the same for my teammates who are based in Sweden and Finland. They're all still Filipinos, and we do have the blood, and it's possible for us to shine and to compete at the highest level of floorball.
Hats off to the Philippine floorball team and of course the leadership of the PFA for a successful 2023 runs and achievements, and we do hope na pagdating ng 2023 kung kaya ng Philippine men's team na magkapagsabayan din, kaya rin ng mga kababaihan din na mag-excel doon sa international stage. Before we wrap up and we have some parting remarks, let's do our photo op. Thumbs up po tayo and smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Jade, and as we conclude our program, I'd like to take this opportunity to make an appeal sa ating mga kababayan to support our national team in the upcoming qualifiers. And of course, message of support sa lahat ng mga nag-support na po sa atin.
Yep. Maraming salamat po sa lahat for all the support that you guys have given us. Not just to the association and to the local players back in Philippines, but all the supporters, families and friends who have been helping us through day one of our floorball journey, from a team that hasn't won anything to a team that has been winning something. I thank you all for being with us through that journey, and it will be nice if you guys can support our national campaign. We are selling national t-shirt merchandise. So PFA is doing that. So if anybody is interested to purchase that, I've received the jersey. It's very good. Please do support that so that it will be easier for us financially whenever there's any tournaments, because most of the times we do have financial constraints, and the players are the ones that are paying for the trips, right? So we do hope for all your support, and we will do our best, hold ourselves to the highest of standards as a national athlete, right, to represent Philippines and to represent the floorball scene. So thank you to everyone.
And by the way, the details of the fundraising na pagbibili ng mga sale of the t-shirts is on the Facebook page and Instagram account of the Philippine Floorball Association. So check this out, right. And again, we'd like to thank Jade for joining us, and also to the PFA and of course Che for having Jade in our interview, and of course for the continuing support sa atin in promoting floorball to our page at dalahin sa atin mga players to do an interview with us virtually. Good luck. We hope to have you again afterwards, sending prayers and motivation to you. To hope that we could claim the spot in the World Championships. Palakas yung relevance, exposure, and of the media mileage and opportunities for our national team, and even finding potential talents for our grassroots development program to find of course, the next Jade Rivera, the next Angelica, and the rest of the members of the national team that will play for the flag and country. Maraming salamat, Jade, and all the best to you.
Thank you po.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you. Good evening.